Hello, everybody. We are live with Alive Again. Well, when I say we, I mean me, and I'm alone right now, so that doesn't really mean we. Anyway, hello. I'm Mike Miles, as you can see in my little name, and I am excited for tonight's show. I just got a message from Jen asking if we'll be able to ask Renelle about NDE. Actually, yes. Renelle will be on. She had a car accident, everybody. It was minor. So, you know how it goes when we try to actually do the show and things go crazy. We were going to have a guest, and he had some family stuff come up. So then there's just left with me for a minute until Renelle gets here. So you're welcome. Because I'm sorry, it's just me. But for a little while. In about, I would say, 15 minutes, Renelle will be on. Until then, I wanted to talk a little bit about the subject that we were going to go into with our guest, who is a social worker that has been doing it for a long time. And so that's why the name of the show today is Living with PTSD in this world while trying to heal. And that goes for any real trauma. It's difficult to kind of do it on my own, but until Renelle gets here, and then yes, I do want to switch gears when she gets on, because we'll probably have this guest on another time as well. But once Renelle gets here, we'll switch over. We'll talk about NDEs, and I would love to have her answer as many questions as you guys want. So she said she'd be 30 minutes late, so about 8:30 my time. I'm in Utah or Mountain Standard Time. So anyway, living with PTSD in this world while trying to heal is not an easy task, considering this is the world that most likely gave us the PTSD to begin with. And there's so many ways that you can have trauma, and it's not something that, I smile and I'll laugh and make light of things, but it's not easy to live with the permanent stuff that goes on when you deal with PTSD for a long period of time. If my audio is giving any feedback or anything like that, if you guys would let me know, I'd appreciate it. But when we are faced with like everyday livisms, so we have to go out into the world and do our job, or deal with relationships is probably one of the most difficult parts. And just deal with it while having these episodes, I call them, that cause us to have various symptoms that if you have dealt with it or know someone that has, it's very... someone that you've been really close to, I should say, like a marriage or a best friend that deals with it. And if you don't, it affects the people and the people around them a lot. And so it's not easy to step through this world and deal with the things that are just seem so trivial in comparison to what you've gone through. So I find that, and I've talked about this before, and I was going to ask a bunch of questions and kind of get into it with our guest, but one of the only ways I'm able to get through my life, I have 5 kids, I've got a beautiful, wonderful wife who is very patient, and so I am one of the lucky ones that has a support system, family, that can be there for me as I work through. And some of you have probably seen me have an episode live. I'll go through, and we may have gotten a text from... Never mind. Not him. So oh crap. I don't remember where. Oh yeah, you've probably seen me on air having an episode. I start to get sweaty, more so than average, and I won't be able to speak eloquently at all. Not that I speak eloquently in general, but in this case, it becomes worse, and my thoughts can't progress from certain when I'm trying to speak. And so you get segmented stuff, and you'll see it just in general as I talk today. Sometimes I deal with it live, and that's a challenge, one that I've taken and tried to. It's actually been helpful for me to do something like this. Whether there's nobody listening or lots of people listening, whatever. It has been. I think it's been good for me, but it hasn't been easy. And so as I look at having a support system, having people in my life that can really show me and give me the support I need to be able to function and have a healthy life, I find it. I don't know how I would move forward without them. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask tonight, because there's so many people that are facing it alone, or even just seemingly alone. They might be married or with somebody, but it's hard for them to understand what it's like when you go through flashbacks, when you deal with those things that just come at you, and seemingly sometimes out of nowhere. And so that's what I was going to go on about. And if anyone has any comments about this, and we will get into the NDE stuff when Renelle comes in about 15 minutes or so, hopefully. And if she doesn't at that point, I'll give her a call, and then we'll just end the stream at that point if she's not going to make it. But she's dealing with this little accident, so we'll see. Oh, wait a second. We got our guest. He's here. Oh, this is good news. Okay, I'm excited to meet him. This is live, so let me pull him in and give him a warning that it's live. I think he can hear me right now, so we're bringing you in. We're going for it, if that's okay.
Hello,
Warren. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this live, so
Okay, great.
We don't usually have a ton of people show up and listen live. Some people that do want to ask questions, they show up, but then most people watch it after. So we can edit if there's anything that you want to take off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you edit before you finally post it on the internet.
Yeah, basically, okay. People can watch it live and they see it how it is, but then I can edit it before it posts. So just
great.
Wanted to throw that out there so you don't feel, like it's going to be stuck out there forever.
No, that's all right.
So anyway, I was just talking to everybody about living with PTSD in this world and trying to heal while doing everyday things and just surviving. I want to introduce you, everybody. This is Warren. Can you give us a little bit of background, because this is my first time meeting you as well?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I live in Minnesota. I am almost 50 years old. I'm married. I'm professionally trained as a social worker. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in social work, and so I work as a clinical social worker now.
Okay.
What else would you like to know?
No, that's great.
I have a lot of experience in the mental health and substance use lane of people's experience. I'm currently working as a family therapist with youth and their parents, trying to help them reestablish themselves with their parents, and some are court and mandated to go through therapy. It's a pretty cool program here in the in Minnesota called Family Functional Therapy. Very cool thing.
That is cool. So is there like is that primarily dealing with addiction and the pushing away of the parents that way, or is it more dealing with like divorce type stuff?
Definitely divorce, parental separation,
Okay.
not specifically addiction,
Okay.
although that's a component of a lot of people's experience. It's not something that's totally focused within the family therapy model. The basic crux of the family therapy model that we're utilizing at the place I'm at is the communication, how to enhance the communication between the parent and the child, which usually is lacking. Usually it's it escalates, right? It's one, two, three, and then it's up to this escalation, and people are upset.
I think
Um,
I need your help with my 6 year old.
oh, okay.
So
Yeah, sometimes it's tough. It's yeah, it's definitely communication. We all struggle with it, I think,
yeah,
in our personal lives with our families, definitely with our kids. We're trying to, hey, don't do this, don't do that,
yeah.
don't run out in the street, because you can see plenty of videos on YouTube or Instagram of kids running out in the streets, and you're like, holy
No,
cow,
don't do. Oh,
are the parents freaking watching
where
this
are
kid?
they?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have 5 kids,
you have
and
five,
I only
great.
have 2 eyes. So
Yeah,
I
can't catch it all.
no, but running in the street, that's my 6 year old has done that while I was watching, and he doesn't even care.
Yeah, yeah,
That's just a side. It's a little bit of a humorous. We work with them, but
yes.
it's not easy.
Oh, look, you can see all the meds I'm on up here. Look,
Oh
I
yeah.
should probably put a blanket over that or something.
Oh no, I can't. We can't see no words,
No,
so we just
okay.
can see bottles.
Yeah, yeah, and you're
So
you're talking about PTSD. Yeah,
yes,
there's a lot of that. A lot of folks have that. They're finding that it's not just military folks and people in that lane. It's also folks just living life.
yeah,
Right, it comes up. Parental abuse towards children. Causes some PTSD stuff. There's growing up in the inner city. Urban
hmm
kids are experiencing PTSD because of gang violence and just this heavy stuff that happens. PTSD due to sexual trauma. That's another
that's
one.
me. That's
And
what
that
happened with me, and
okay,
that's one of the
yes,
reasons why I struggle. Um,
yeah, right. It's not a joke, and
mm,
they're the cool thing about today is they're able to identify it nowadays, and
yeah,
and generally speaking able to treat it. Whereas 30, 40, 50 years
they
ago,
wouldn't even recognize it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it just wasn't
even
something
for
they
those who were in the military, it was like, yeah,
right.
whatever.
They've known about PTSD as early as the Civil War. They
Oh
they,
wow.
they knew that, and but
But
they
who
didn't know how to
cares
treat
about
it.
them? They're soldiers. Soldiers. Just send them.
Yeah, and so then the World War I guys and the World War II guys came back, and had PTSD,
Yeah.
and the Vietnam era guys, I think were the last worst case type scenarios, right? Just coming home and not being able to function in
Yeah.
society, right? It's hard to have a job, right? If you have PTSD,
If it's
especially,
severe enough, yeah. And that's
yeah.
kind of where I'm at. I'm on disability for it.
Oh,
And
sure, yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
tough.
like that was hard to do, by the way, like for a mental
Yeah,
illness. They
yeah,
usually
yeah. To get
don't.
on disability takes a couple of years, a lot
Yeah.
of denials. Yeah,
Yep.
it's not easy to do that. So yeah, so it's good that you're getting disability, and are you currently getting some of the mental health counseling and whatnot?
I have in the past,
Okay,
a lot of it. I've been very lucky to have parents. Well, one's deceased since all this, just somewhat recently, but
sorry to hear that.
yeah, the other one, and they were always very supportive. Like they allowed me and my at the time 3 kids move in with them, and we lived with them for 7 years, having our last 2 children with them at that house just in their basement
Okay,
because I couldn't support the family anymore. I had a job for like 11 years prior to that,
okay.
management, doing like I was doing well, but it caught up to me. It
Did
really
it?
did.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it smashed me. I
yeah.
spent so long. unable to. I don't know I don't know how spiritual you are, or if you're religious in any
Mhm.
way,
Yes, I
but
am.
okay. My the spirit, or my spirit was just
Just crushed.
deadened. Yeah,
Crushed.
and so
What,
like
if I can interrupt? What type of spiritual orientation are you? Do you have?
I'm a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, me too.
So yeah, well, hello.
Yeah, right on. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's a it's difficult for me because my
sure.
abuse happened through my faith, in that faith.
Oh, the abuse. Oh, yeah, that's really tough.
And so
Yeah,
to keep, you know, going and doing things like that. Sorry, sometimes I need a second.
yeah. Take it. Yeah, take your time. Yeah, it's hard when you're talking about heavy stuff.
Yeah, and you start the episodes start happening, and it's
Yeah,
out physically outside of your control. You know,
yeah.
you can't
Where it
really.
should be safe,
Yeah.
right? At church, and church people should be are in your mind,
Yep.
and it should be a safe place versus, a punching alley or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
going. You're absolutely right, and those are people you would think. Yeah, that's where you're going. It is a place of safety, a place of refuge,
Right.
refuge, not refuse,
Right. Right.
refuge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's been some really crummy things that have happened, not just in the Mormon faith, but in other faiths as
Oh,
well. The Catholics and other Lutheran, and
yeah,
since I'm in the therapy world, I get exposed to a lot of stories,
yeah,
of people, and it's not just women, right? We tend to sometimes think that, oh, women are predominantly the victims of some of these things, but it's also there's a percentage of men and young
yeah.
boys and stuff, and it's, man, it sucks,
It it really does, especially when you truly believe. You
yeah,
know,
right,
so I believe and have this faith in Christ, and I have, but I still physically have this thing that happens, and I don't. My body starts to reject going into the building, because it's where it occurred, right?
sure,
So, and as much as I tried to work through it, to answer the question that we kind of touched on, was if I was seeing people to try and work through it. In the past, I have, but as I worked through it, it got to a point where there was not much more we could do. I learned, at least at the time, I had learned skills to try and get through it in the moments, mindfulness and things like that
yeah,
that are helpful, and I understand a lot more, and that's been key for
sure,
me, is understanding that it's okay to not to be to have those moments where it affects me,
yeah,
because it does still,
yeah,
and it was layered on other things, and so it was like a tangled mess to try to talk through.
yeah. It's
So
Yeah, it's these layers, that happen, and yeah, and what you're saying is actually true, right? How do you verbalize some of these things sometimes, because
yeah,
it's hard.
it
you,
is.
you know you've been abused, and you're trying to find those words of, hey, this is what happened, this is
Yep.
how I'm responding to it, this is what's going on. Like you're saying, it's been hard to have a job. It's
Yeah,
been hard to, I imagine it's probably hard to be a father
it
at times,
is.
because you kind of check out sometimes, and you're and I think there's this, my understanding of it, and observation and study of it, is your brain and your body does something uh, instinctively for some reason,
Yeah,
and it's,
it's physiological.
yeah,
It
yeah,
changes how your brain is. It really.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's tricky, and it's and what often happens is that not every therapist is skilled in every piece of mental illness or
yeah,
substance use, And so each therapist will kind of have like, hey, I'm really good at this one thing, and I can definitely, hone in and help a person through this one thing versus trying to have the spectrum. And so sometimes it really depends on the therapist being able to help the person work through that,
Finding the
verbalize.
right one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I had my issue was they have their own lives, and I had people leave and change. And
okay,
so while I was in the middle of, because you start going through these storming periods when you're
yeah,
trying to address some of this stuff, and so it really affects you at home. It affects you emotionally and everything. It kind of riles everything up as you work through it because you kind of have to. But then the therapist that was working on it is just gone. They get promoted or they go
oh,
to another place,
yep, 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 yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and so those are the reasons why ultimately I couldn't find one that was stable enough that I could really work with. And then when I did get to some that I could spend enough time with, they taught me the things that I could try. But ultimately, it's there is a component that's always going to be with me, and that accepting that it was hard. And
yeah,
there's and maybe some people believe that that's not the case. I could be, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that is true. That I can't. There's going to be some parts of dealing with it that are going to be with me
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's formed part of who I am.
Right, right, and yeah, it's now you're kind of wired in a way,
Yeah,
right, and because of that experience, and yeah, mental illness is. I believe that people can heal. I believe that partly because of my faith, right,
yeah,
of our faith, and people can have 100% healing. But sometimes it takes work as well. Some of the earthly means can be very effective, but there's a spiritual component that can be a part of it, which social work and psychology doesn't acknowledge
yeah,
because it's a phenomenon that's you can't measure,
yeah,
and so that's their thing. Is well, we can't measure it, so
yeah. You
and
can't put it on a
a st-
numbered list.
yeah, right. You
This
can't.
it hurts this much.
Right, and we can control the angels and all this, right, and because you can't, right,
Yeah,
and it kind of happens when it does spiritually, but everything that you can do with the therapy can definitely help manage it. That's the whole crux of it, is managing it. So when you have a bad day, being able to pick up like, oh, I'm starting to feel myself go down. Some people can see the steps
yeah.
that happen, but some people go right from 0 to 100, without any uh, notice.
And it
And
can
so it's
change it's per incident too,
yeah,
because I
right.
have
It's
both
oh, gee, you
situations. Yeah, where
okay,
sometimes it just hits me hard,
and then boom.
and and then I'm just there in it. And other times there's a delay
Okay.
to where it's like a slowly ticking things just turning off in my brain.
Yeah, yeah. And then you're
Slow.
at that point of like you're at 100, and a lot of stuff is like, oh my gosh, I can't cope with this at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I
And,
can't speak. Being able to speak is the number one thing that really just knocks me.
okay.
I
Wow.
can't.
Yeah.
I can think of things, but then my mind starts to either twist, and I can't hold on to thoughts, or my my speech, I can't get what I'm thinking to speak, to
You get it
say.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the two things that happen to me.
Sure.
That are probably the most annoying. Annoying's a very kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
light term for it, but yeah, I want to make sure everyone knows that I have had healing.
Yeah.
In other
Yeah.
words, what happened originally was I was completely blocked, like I've been saying, right? Like
Jeez.
I
God,
couldn't
that's what happened.
receive spiritual.
Excuse me. Sorry.
That's okay. I couldn't receive spiritual revelation or feel the spirit of peace, and that was something that I truly had and loved. And then as that slowly went away, and I was just like, I couldn't ever feel it.
Yeah.
And then I was working with Renelle. That's how I know Renelle.
Okay.
Is she helped me, and there was just a single day, and it just opened.
Okay.
Just with working with her in a single session, and God just healed it. That
Doing
portion of it.
doing his thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can feel spiritually entirely now, and
Okay.
I can receive and feel that, and that was, my hope, more than anything, was that.
Sure.
So I mean, to
Sorry.
me, I'm like so much better than I could have been or was. So I will say that, but it's not, the physical parts of it still have stuck with me.
Okay.
So that's me. And everyone has a different experience, right?
Right.
And so I'm just, I want to, that's one of the reasons we started this channel, was to make people aware, both the people that can or need the healing or need to find a way to deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
and secondarily, the people who love them and don't understand because they haven't dealt with it themselves.
Right.
And that learning curve is, it's not simple to get through.
Right. Yeah. You're totally right. Is people that don't experience don't often understand it.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't you just suck it up and do what you got to do?
Yeah.
And you know, that was a message that I got in the military a lot. Was
Okay.
you got soggy boots, so what? You got to suck it up and
Yeah.
keep running. And yeah, and I think my perception is, like you're saying, is try to educate the
Yeah.
folks, family members that don't understand that some people have immense capacity to um, function in life, and they can get up, get their pants on, go to work, right, and they just
Yep.
kind of get through that routine every day. And I'm amazed by some of these mothers, that have five or
My
six, seven
wife.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can manage this chaos, and everybody's fed, everybody's got clean clothes,
We hope,
yeah,
most
they
of the
got,
time.
yeah, and you're just like, wow, how do you manage that? I think now, like, I think back, I have children as well, and I remember I grew up in a family of 4 kids, and
Okay.
how my mother managed to get us to church by 9 o'clock on Sundays. I don't know how she did it. And because we also had a half an hour drive to get to church,
Oh,
and
so
so yeah, so
half
we
hour
had to
drives are so much fun with that
four
many
kids,
kids, with four
four,
kids. Yeah.
in a little 4-door sedan thing that we had. Yeah, and the 3 boys in the back and sister in the front, and yeah, and everyone's had to be in the car at 8:30, and yeah, it was dad was in the bishopric, so he was gone. Back in the old days of the old church, they were like, they would have meetings start at like 7 or
Yeah.
something,
And
and
then they
so
wouldn't
he
be done till
was
the evening.
yeah, so he was gone all morning and all afternoon usually.
Man,
Yeah, it's how has your wife been with this, with this experience, and you guys going through this?
that was one of the miracles, I think, was her. At first, it was almost, because I was going from working and doing the suck it up, go do it, for 11 years, and providing for my family. She would stay at home. And it was all great and good until it wasn't anymore. And it was just boom. And so at that point, there were times where it got bad, where it almost dissolved a little, where it was like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? But that was short lived. She was very always, but she didn't start to understand for years. It took years, 3 or 4, for her to start to realize that there's just some times when we have some type of appointment or something we have to get to where I have an episode and it's just I cannot go. Or it would be very painful. Like there was one time where we were going to go down on a vacation down to St. George, and that morning I woke up and it was just one of the worst I've had.
Okay.
And so I'm like, what do I do? If I get in that car and I go, it's not going to, it's going to be, but in the stress of dealing with that up front, it caused me to have like a thing in my eye that popped. So it was like like I was physically having these things like I was under attack, like something was going to kill me type thing. And that's, why? But anyway, it happened. And so I didn't go. I couldn't. And so she had to go down on this vacation with her family and herself and all my kids. And that was difficult on her end, as well as mine.
Yeah.
But at that point, she had gotten to the point where she understood. It just still hurt. And that's, dealing with that has been hard. Because I want to please her and make her happy and give her what she needs. That's just ingrained in me. And so when I can't, it's rough.
Yeah. Are you, how long have you been married?
I've been married for almost 20 years now.
20 years and 5 kids.
Yep.
And okay.
My oldest is 16. I
16?
can't believe I'll be 41 in like a couple months. And you can see I'm all white down here.
Yeah, right. Same here. Yeah. Yeah. I have a saying is old age. How do I say it? Nobody thinks they're going to become old. It just sneaks up on you one day, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, "Who the hell is that old man looking at?" And I dude, wait a second, I look like my dad.
Or I was at a concert. I went to a Yellow Card concert. I don't know if you know who they are, but they're a punk band. I used, I still love, I guess. I went with my wife and my brother, and it was like this last week. And I look around and I see, man, these people are kind of old because they're an older band now.
Okay, sure.
These people look old, and I'm like, wait, that's me.
Yeah, right. Dude, I'm 40-something years old. Yeah. Yeah. There is quite that age stuff when you see it at like some of those the punk concerts and stuff. Like people like Blink 182 was kind of my time.
I hit them in Colorado when they did their big tour this last year when they came back out.
I mean, they're not real punk, they're the pop punk.
It's pop
thing.
Punk, but
right, yeah, like Sum 41 and kind of some of that stuff. But yeah, it's still fun. It's still fun to go out there. And,
it is.
Screw the man, right?
Screw the man. Forget them.
Right. And I think the funny thing for me too is just seeing the people dress up. Just the hair and the the leather, and you're like, wow, look at that, man. I never personally dressed like that, but it's funny to watch that, and the lifestyle, and it's like, wow, okay,
Yeah,
that guy's got a great job, I'm sure. I'm sure they're proud to have him work at the bank. Yeah, with that hair like that.
Oh, absolutely.
I have the reverse mohawk, actually, as you can see.
It's you have it's just skin. It's just skin where the mohawk should be.
Right. It's just like the punk. Yeah.
But you know what? That's punk. That's old punk right there.
Right. That's old school.
Punk.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. I wasn't around when the first wave came. Was the Sex Pistols and stuff. I wasn't around for that. I grew up on the tail end of the 80s, and so I can't think of. There really wasn't any popular punk in the late 80s.
It like skipped.
Yeah, like skipped. But Green Day was kind of the first like mainstream band. Yeah, Dookie. Yeah, that was pretty much. There was always stuff that's underground though. There's always the Black Flag and No Effects and stuff. I mean, those guys are that. Yeah, the underground guys. And the what do they call it? Crunk. It's like punk music, but it's just real aggressive.
Screaming.
screaming. Yeah, I saw one. I managed to see, I think, Toxic Holocaust once,
Okay.
and and they were kind of the guys that did like 30-second songs,
Okay.
and so it was real fast. It was like tick, 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 tick.
I'm totally
And
gonna make yeah.
yeah,
It's
and it
over,
was
guys. We're done. Yeah.
it was so amazing. I was like, wow, listen to these guys, and the kids went crazy. It was so funny. I was like, I was there to see a different band, and nobody cared about the band that I was there to see.
Mm-hmm.
But that Toxic Holocaust or whatever, it was, they were, the kids went crazy for that. I was like, they're moshing, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty
I
cool. You know?
I have been in a mosh pit
There you
a
go.
couple of times.
That's
I
right.
wouldn't do it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a little
I'd go
older
into the
now.
middle and be, start having an episode and then like shiver and it would be like, get away from me, everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm a little older now,
Yeah.
right? I'm just sitting in the bleachers now,
I'll
up in
just
the nosebleed area,
yeah, in chairs.
and chairs, right? I'm just watching the show, enjoying my
Yeah.
soda.
Yes, yes.
I got to see. I went and saw Iron Maiden finally. Maybe
Okay.
their kind of, their early stuff was kind of punk. There's an element of punk to it. So that was
I
fun to see
vaguely
them.
remember some of their things because I think you have 10 years on me.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit old. I'm
Maybe.
about 47, and
Okay.
so I graduated 95. What you?
So Generation X, legit,
Yeah, yeah, right.
but
I'm an
they don't
Xer.
exist apparently. No one ever
Yeah,
talks
right.
about
And,
yeah.
and
Just
we don't
skips
have
them.
a voice either,
No,
so
of
no one
course.
cares.
Well, you didn't care at the time growing up, so maybe now people don't care about you.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it
That's
is.
messed up.
I don't care about the labels either.
Yeah.
Don't label me.
Don't
You,
like don't
you, you don't know me,
I'm no
punk,
X. I
right?
am I am
Right.
I'm myself.
Represent, yo. I'm from the back streets of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. You're like, Sheboygan. Like,
Sheboygan, that's a
how,
word?
yeah. How can that even be a hardcore hood? There's no hard in Sheboygan. There's not, and it's a joke. But I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, music is very helpful. It's therapeutic. It's funny, or it's not funny rather, but it was interesting. You were talking about the PTSD thing, and I've gone back and watched several of the early '80s films,
Okay.
and they show people, because the early '80s, a lot of the Vietnam guys, were still experiencing the PTSD stuff, and so a lot of these films had what people were experiencing, and I think that was one of the big
Oh.
uh, themes in the first Rambo movie,
Yeah.
is he had PTSD, and he was a loner. He was on his own. He didn't trust people. He just wanted to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, his PTSD, it switched, and he turned on Soldier. The character, the police character in the film, pushed him too hard, and so he flipped on Soldier, and he caused all those problems in that city.
Yeah.
Um, the other more recent film was that Army Ranger guy. Oh shoot, what was the dude's name? I can't remember his name, but he was in the Army when I was in, and he got out, and he was a special forces guy, and he was actually trying to help a dude
And he
with
got
PTSD,
stabbed.
and yeah, and he got killed during
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
episode.
Or maybe yeah.
Trying to help a dude
I
out.
remember that whole thing when it happened.
Yeah,
Maybe it
what
wasn't
the heck?
stabbed. I don't know. I remember exactly what happened, but yeah, he was helping somebody. And
Was it Chris Kyle? Was that the name?
that sounds
Does that sound right, Chris
Kyle.
Kyle?
I think that Kyle sounds right.
Yeah, and yeah, just very distinguished career, military career, very good sniper, and and yeah, I definitely feel for the veterans and people that I have mental illness my own self, and I have my experiences, and I totally get it. When you just you can't get out of bed, you can't
Yeah.
function, you can't call into sick for work. And like you're saying, your family, what's wrong with you? Why
Yeah.
can't you? And I have a tough love brother, older brother. Get your butt up and you do what you got to do. And
Like the entire previous generation
yeah,
from us. That was
right.
their
Suck it
style.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, suck it up. You know what? You got a family. You got bills to pay. You can't
Yep.
be screwing around feeling sorry for yourself in your bedroom. You're just
Yeah.
like, okay,
I guess okay, that's what I'll
uh,
do. But
right?
then it messed me up. That's when I got messed up. Was
Mm,
when I went from when I went into the responsibility side of things, and I pushed myself through it, not knowing, and I would
yeah,
just push, and it caused relapse and a slow, like, I started to deteriorate
yeah,
mentally. I
yeah, yeah.
sometimes I was
Eventually, you
great.
crash,
Yeah.
right? And whatever that might be, or you
Mm-hmm.
end up in the hospital. You're drinking or drugging.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are doing that to self medicate.
A lot of
Sexual
guys.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Like prostitutes and hookers and all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
unsafe sex, and just and it's like this big shutdown. Like you just kind of
Yeah. It's
and
just you can't deal with it. For me, it was gaming for a
okay,
long
yeah, oh
period of
yeah.
time. And I think Renell's here.
Oh, did she get here finally?
Yeah, yeah, she's here.
Oh,
So I'm gonna invite her in, and we're gonna have a few questions on NDEs, Warren, if that's
yeah,
okay,
sure.
in a little bit. But
Yeah, I can hang out for a little bit longer here. So
okay,
yeah, I'm an hour
let's.
ahead of you guys. It's
Okay, yeah, we don't want
yeah,
to keep you up too late. You've
yeah,
got
it's getting
those
into my bedtime.
punk concerts to go with.
Yeah,
You
right.
gotta
I got
Oh
no.
stick
my
to the man.
God.
Oh, here's
Do
Renell.
you need
Hello.
your blankie?
I
Yeah,
do need my binky actually.
Do you need your
yeah.
blankie, Warren?
Yeah, like the
I'm gonna close
Simpsons
this door.
character. Uh-oh. Now we lost Mike. Oh, he just had to close the door. Okay.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome, Renell. I'm so glad you're here
Hey, I'm
and
finally
safe.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a good fall.
Ooh.
I washed the floors and they got soapy, and when I went in, I took a nice fly.
Oh, I
Uh-oh.
thought it was a car.
No, I slipped.
Well, that
Oh, you
that
slipped.
that is not good. Are you
Yeah.
okay? Do you need a
Yeah,
binky?
I'm okay.
Do you need a binky?
No, I'm okay. So, gentlemen, have you talked about post-traumatic?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
we've been talking about it and uh, going somewhat in depth and sharing some of my own, both of our own experiences. And I told him
As
about
Warren, yeah,
the healing that happened
as Warren knows, I've been through a lot.
yeah, you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Warren and I have been friends for many years, haven't we, Warren?
Yeah. Yeah, I've known you for quite a while now. Probably somewhere around probably 2010 at least.
wow,
Somewhere in there.
Wow, that's incredible.
yeah, it's longer than
So I
me.
wanted to talk about post-traumatic, and the reason is that most people who've had an NDE
Mm.
more than likely have gone through not only effects of NDE because they have their own side effects, but also
They do.
post-traumatic. So the interesting side effects from a near death usually is the trouble sleeping, which correlates with post-traumatic. So the question that I always wonder in my mind is it the post-traumatic.
Yeah, was it
Um,
the NDE or the post
most people
traumatic?
come out,
Yeah.
yeah, most people come out of an NDE have a very totally different personality, and that isn't post-traumatic. That's actually a study that was done by Dr. Kenneth Ring and William Morris, or I'm gotta get this right. He did study on children who've had near-death experience and adults. But I really like Pam Atwater's work as well. And what they found were, meeting 5 different criteria for an in-depth NDE. And by doing such, it changes the personality of the individual so much that most of the time family members don't even, they struggle and they don't recognize this new person. And on top of it, they're also coping with post-traumatic.
With the trauma that
Now,
they likely would have experienced that went along
Yeah.
with it.
right.
Yeah.
Most people say that the NDE experience sometimes will alleviate those traumatic experiences. However, there are some things like I'm still struggling with, and that's sleep and having trouble sleeping. Sleep apnea comes a lot of times with post-traumatic and near death. So there is some, I don't know what you guys discussed, but I wanted to do this because there are so many out there and that have had near-death experience. If you go to an audience and you ask that audience how many have had a near-death experience, half of the audience will raise their hand. Half. That's a lot.
Yeah,
But a
depending on
lot
your
of
definition.
people, yeah, a lot of people are afraid to talk about their near death and fear that they would be looked at as nuts.
Yeah. But that's kind of changing a little, I think, because science has kind of seen that there is something to it. You can't dismiss it. Definitely
Right.
can't dismiss it.
Yeah. How many people, have come so close to death?
Yeah.
They've had these experiences, these apparitions of seeing loved ones, going, seeing the light,
Yeah. The tunnel.
to come back completely an empath. They come back with an incredible compassion for others where they may have not had before. A lot of NDEs have a deep struggle with going back to work because material things just aren't as important to them as they once were.
Jen has a
And
question
that's
for you
where
right
a
now.
lot of partners struggle.
Oh, go ahead. Oh,
Yeah?
you're right. Divorce is very high with people that have had NDEs, or at least one has and the other hasn't. At least from what I understand, that's what I've read. But Jen had a question. Can trauma affect how a
Okay.
near-deather interprets their NDE?
No, it's actually the other way around.
What do you mean?
So it's the near death that actually interprets, the trauma. So there's a clear vision. This is what they learned from all their studies. It's a clear vision they have of, their experience. Where those who have not, it's the other way around, as Jan said. But when a person has had a near-death experience, they actually have a clear view of their near-death. The post-traumatic is also not as strong, as people who have not had a near-death. You'll
I can
also
imagine
notice
that.
a
Yeah.
real glow in their eyes. That's something that I noticed with those who've had a near-death experience. There's a real difference
Looking
in the way
good.
that they look.
Huh.
What are you doing, Warren?
He was checking himself out. It looked nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Don't.
part of it
Oh,
is
did you?
I have bifocals, and so I'm looking up like this so I can see my thing. Because if I'm using the
Oh,
regular field, it's blurry. So I'm like this a
oh.
lot. So people,
I thought
so
you
when
were
I'm doing video
checking
chats for
yourself
work
out.
too,
It's getting.
it's just
We're getting old.
yeah, it's
Oh,
embarrassing. Yeah,
I thought you were
uh,
just looking to see if you had that glow.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think
Do I
so.
have that glow?
Oh, it's that
I
kind of glow.
it's just brown eyes. I
Maybe if we
haven't had.
shined it.
Yeah, there we go. You know, in post production, some SCGI stuff. I don't believe I've ever had an NDE. I don't. I can't recall one ever, but I've had I've had a couple things happen, but it wasn't quite as significant as the NDE. So that people come back and these extraordinary stories, and this life changing dialogue, and like, hey, I saw my grandma, and
Yeah.
and all these cool things happened.
But did
So
you have like an out of body experience?
sort of, but
Because that's kind of where it starts, right? Or now that's kind of
yeah,
the first.
Well, like I said, a lot of NDEs are not always, some come just to the light, not
Hmm.
always, or meet a loved one that says go back. So
hmm
it's not always classified as a full 5 point,
Okay.
meaning that the person has died, the person's gone through a tunnel, that's 2, 3, that they recognize their body below them, that they, once they got past the tunnel, they go to a place, a waiting area, that's 4. And 5 is realizing and seeing their actual spirit out of their body, meaning that they actually see relatives, they're in a different place. That's a 5 point experience, which is completely very rare, actually. So there's very different classified near-death experiences. And sometimes people die and don't remember, though they have the symptoms of a near-death experience.
Hmm.
Does that make any sense? In other words, oftentimes
mm,
um, they'll remember leaving their body, but not remember how long they were gone or what happened.
some
I think a
some
lot of
amnesia.
times that people who have those kind of experience struggle. If they did remember, they would struggle with earth life. And that's another thing that NDEs really struggle with is depression. It's because their great desire to go back home, to go
Yeah.
to back to that light, to feel that um, feeling of not feeling pain,
Yeah,
struggle, or strife that you
Yeah.
feel when you're out of your body. So when you had a near death doesn't always mean that it's a 5 point, it may be a 1 point, but nonetheless it's still a near death. It's still classified as a near death.
Which
I would
makes
love to see that they change the name, actually, from near death, because you
yeah
actually die.
to
It's
post
not,
death, to re
near death,
after
it's post
post
death.
death.
Right.
I know we'll have to find it.
So
Well,
I'd
we'll
love to see
workshop
them.
this, and we'll put it out there.
maybe call it animation somehow, like reanimation or reanimated.
Well, or alive again,
That's
that
like our
pretty much
name.
just,
We're alive
Yeah,
yes,
again.
yeah, alive
which
again.
describes it completely different.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't know you had an experience like that, Warren.
Well,
Did you
it
share
wasn't
it?
quite NDE as you are explaining the 5 points. Um, I was I was the only thing that I can say is that I was in a suicidal moment, and I definitely felt the difference between the body and the spirit, of my spirit. And what was happening is my body was uh, controlled by other means and
Mm.
something else, and my spirit was like, nope, don't do this, don't do it, and feeling
That's a
those,
near death.
those two.
That is a near death.
Well, I was pretty freaking close. Had a kid not come by and save me, had Reyes in the army not come by, I would have been gone. It was gonna happen. And so, um,
Wow.
so it
I
was
didn't
it
know
was a
that.
near death as far as I was that close. And so, I'm grateful that the kid Reyes came and saved me. So, um, but
We are
it's
too.
A lot of
yeah.
people who are a
Thank
lot
you.
of a lot of people who are close to a deep depression and commit suicide, though they're in their body, is there and an awareness of their spirit. there still is that separation where they actually leave the body with entities, or the entities will pull them and torment them, to the point of that suicidal moment, that their lives are so dark that there's no return. And at that moment, that can also be considered a near death. Because what you described, Warren, is what those who have committed suicide and come back describe.
Mm-hmm.
So the degree of that's what Dr. Morris, Dr. All of Kenneth Ring and so many others did to study this. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, she studied prisoners right where I was in Vacaville, studying prisoners who had AIDS, who were near death. And she was there at the moment of death, so she was able to write down the experience that they were having. And I thought it was quite fascinating, because those who had sought forgiveness, all the things that, ironically, that Jesus Christ teaches, where there's this moment of redemption and forgiveness. When the redemption has been met, death is a different feel, a different look. And the experience of that near-death experience is different. A lot of times, near-death can be being with a loved one and watching that loved one talk to members of their family who have come to get them and take them home.
Yeah.
So, you could be in the room and experience that.
And anyone in the audience, if you have any questions, please jump in anytime.
Warren, who do we have? Say hi to those who are here. Hi, guys.
How many are there?
It's so wonderful.
Is there
3 or 4 or more?
3 or 4?
That's where we're at. Yeah, that's where we're at now.
Very cool.
So, and they.
So there is fascinating that your dreams are more vivid as well. One of the things that we are going to do at some point is have a guest talk about journaling, because oftentimes apparition and spiritual experiences happen at nighttime. And it's important that when you wake up, and especially those who have had a near-death experience, their dreams become more vivid. And their experiences with the other side happen at night when they're sleeping. I had a friend stay over, not last night, but the night before. And I guess apparently I stopped breathing. And she said I stopped breathing several times. I do have a sleep apnea problem. But she said it was really fascinating, because she said there were 4 different levels that I went through. And on that 4th level, she said that I had waited at the dock for the train to come. And when it stopped, I got on the train and my dad was there, and a surfer.
Well, naturally, there would be a surfer on the train.
Right, because that's a pretty common thing.
Yeah. Got to get to that beach.
Yeah, and the surfer didn't have any concept of why he was there. And my dad, did. And the guy came along, and I had my ticket on the train, and the conductor, and he wanted to punch my card, and he said, "No, not you." And then the surfer pulled out his ticket, and the conductor stamped his ticket.
Wow. So
And
you're
when they
basically
came to
watching your
my,
dad bring someone over, is what you're getting at.
not sure, I'm not sure, but this I do know is that my dad was there to meet me.
Ah.
And so the conductor went to his ticket and he said, not now.
Hmm.
Um, so then my father spoke with me
Hmm.
and had, I guess, some things he wanted to let me know. And so he and I chatted on that train. And she spoke of that I was speaking with various different people, and especially, I think she said that there were like people that were there to protect me. My grandson was there,
Hmm.
though I couldn't see him. And
So,
honestly, I don't remember very much when I woke up. But she said every time that I spoke of the train, I would stop breathing for over a minute. And she said it happened like I would breathe for 1 minute and then I would stop breathing for another minute. And then I would breathe another minute and then stop.
Well, I have two observations.
it's pretty interesting.
First, I don't know about this watching you sleep thing. That's a joke.
It's
But
kind of creepy.
second, it's why wouldn't she like poke at you if you haven't breathed for an hour? I mean, an
Well,
hour. I'm
she
sorry, a
did.
minute.
She first of all didn't know that I have a problem with sleep apnea.
Okay, okay.
Um, and she actually, she finally did wake me up,
Mm,
after but when she heard me talk to my dad, she knew my dad had died and that I was actually there talking to him. She didn't want to interrupt
that makes
that
sense.
experience.
Did
And
do you remember what you guys talked about, or?
Yeah.
yeah, I actually did. And that's why I had Warren on because, my dad had a message and that we all have two very incredible experiences in our mortal lives, and that's birth and death, and that we need to treat death as not a moment of great sorrow, but a moment of sacred joy and peace. Um, and he
Well,
talked
I mean,
about,
that might depend upon the method in which the death occurs.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
my unfortunately, my kid brother, he didn't make it, and I don't know if his experience was joy, committing suicide, and I think that I think crossing over when it's how it's supposed to happen, I think is definitely appropriate. What you're saying, I think, but I think my kid brother, I think with a suicide, he was pretty. He may have been really hurting, you know,
Yeah.
and
yes,
and it's I reflect on that a lot, and what getting to that point where you're just so stressed and so upset about something, and you're like, that's it. This is my only option. You know,
Yeah.
I
Nice.
feel trapped. I feel like I'm in a well, or I've
yeah,
heard many. I don't know that there's one person, and we're so ashamed to admit that all of us have gotten to a place at one time or another where we feel like giving up. And of course, I'm just going to be very blunt that, there is a Lucifer, and he does want us to take and cheat the system and take our lives, and stop the process of being, because we're so intertwined. And my dad reminded me that again, of how intertwined we are with each other's lives, with the people that we meet. It's not an accident that every moment that I speak with you, Warren, or I speak with you, Mike, are planned sacred moments that the heavens listen to. Um, she said that it was interesting that when I was talking to my father, that he was describing to me, and I was talking it out loud, as though there's a radio always echoing on the other side, that they have their, their abodes. And while they're there, there's like a radio constantly going. And so those who watch over us are listening to that radio at all times.
And
So it's like you hear that echo of that individual's life.
which that's pretty profound. And I will say this, going back, is that kind of pain that puts you in a place where you're at a point to do something like that. That's not a place where we can look at it and say, this is how deep, they can be in so much pain that it's not, I don't think there's different levels of reflection that I think
Right.
would be looked at.
And that's why we can't judge.
You don't know where their heart is or where their mind
Right.
is at. And I've been in places where my mind is so disassociated from where I usually am that it's almost not me.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
So I don't know, the end from the beginning, but I do know that there's so much pain that some people have.
Oh, believe me, I understand. I've been there many a times. With my own struggles. Even as recent, you can see there's sores all over my face, and it's all over my body. And I'm going through a second burning again. The pain is so great. And, I'm just like at that point where I'm, alone. I'm in my 60s. Everything I own is in storage. A lot of my stuff went up in flames. I have nothing left. Which, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please
join us.
Share this message. So please subscribe so that we can join with you every week and catch up with what's going on in your life, where we can put you on and have you tell us and ask questions. So please like and subscribe.
Yeah,
all you have to do is to take 1 second to press the button.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
So what questions do we have today?
Well, I want to address if there's anything else. Warren, did you have anything more that you wanted to add or that we didn't get to that you wanted to talk about? Did we lose him? That's crazy timing. I was just talking to him, and then now he's gone. Warren,
what happened? Did he blank out?
I think he's frozen.
He's frozen. Oh my goodness, Warren, the frozen statue.
That when you take a picture of something, it captures your soul apparently, and so I'm pretty sure maybe, hopefully, there he is. He came back.
Hi, Warren, you froze.
My thing just. Yeah, my thing froze for
a second. You had that moment where you went on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to run over to Saturn real quick and
those rings, man.
Yeah, I was just sitting on the rings for a while. I was like, dang, I got to get back to that meeting. No,
now,
what was your question?
What's interesting on my original experience, I did have that where I got to go to the other ends of the universe and learn a lot about our universe and how it was created. And for me, that was one of the biggest questions I had. So when you're on the other side, the communication is so clear. And that's also what happened. So back to this thing that I was talking about was making sure that when you wake up, having that journal and quickly writing. It doesn't have to be, in depth, but just writing a few notes about what you had just experienced in your dream.
Because when you look
Because
back
when you go
at it,
back, it can
it'll
be profound.
start to, yeah. There are two places I want to go, and I agree with the journaling thing. That's powerful. It can be. So there's two things I wanted to do was ask the question to Warren and then answer questions from the audience as well.
Okay.
But Warren, so it was a general question, but is there anything else from the topics that we talked about before with PTSD or anything that we left open-ended that you want to close according to your experience and what you've seen in people? What advice would you
Yes.
give our listeners and us? Because let's face it, we need it right now.
Amen. Amen, bro.
Well, it's not, it's a multidimensional thing, and it's and I don't want to oversimplify it either.
That's hard, yeah.
But it's as far as PTSD kind of stuff is, take the meds that you're prescribed, but from the providers. Try to eat a balanced diet. Eat good food, right? Don't eat garbage. It's just not gonna stay away from the energy drinks. I got to do that my own self, right? And
So,
try to be as
amen.
healthy. Yeah, getting exercise, right? A lot of the same stuff we hear over and over, but we don't do it, right? We sit in our chairs all day and we're working on work on the computer. We play video games. We watch our shows, right?
Yeah.
So exercise. The other thing is being able to practice the skills they teach you in therapy, the mindfulness, journaling, meditations, forgiveness, right? Working on forgiveness. And
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
yeah, and then don't isolate. Don't isolate. Try
That's
to
hard
find
to
a
do.
yeah,
So hard.
I am the biggest isolator, guys.
Yeah. Oh, we know, Renell.
You both
Yeah.
know that.
yeah. Try to find a group, whether it's church group or other Emotions Anonymous. Those can be helpful to reach out.
Like
Other
EA, they actually have those. Like,
yeah, there's one's called Emotional Anonymous. Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
and
Oh, really?
yeah, and they've centered more on emotions versus substance use kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think that
wow.
AA can also be helpful if you can find a group that you're able to express and say, I'm not currently experiencing substance use, concern, but I'm feeling that I need the support. And, a lot, if you were to talk enough with any of the people that go to those functions, they have PTSD their own selves.
Yeah.
And so being able to talk with people and virtually have a non-judgmental forum, right? The other thing too is spiritual, right? We got to do spiritual stuff. I'm a proponent of the spirit releasement therapy. It's something that the academics and the psychology and social work world does not get in, because you start talking about stuff like that and you start losing people. Like, what are you talking about? And
Oh, that's
but
too bad because that's so critical.
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely another method that can help a person cope through some of these moments, um, and just being patient with yourself, right? Is
Yeah.
you gotta. Uh, I don't think we're at home in these bodies. I think we're meant to kind of squiggle and 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 squirm because
Yeah.
there's the natural man components that are
Uh-huh.
God, and so I think learning how to be patient with that and subjugating that to the higher will, right, to the Father, and utilizing priesthood and finding a person that is able to give good blessings, like as far as spiritual stuff goes, because not every person can do that. Not everybody has the knowledge set
Yeah.
to do that.
Power of the word, you know, and being
Yeah,
able
the
to,
word. Yeah,
yeah,
and believing, and I
yeah,
think healing.
having
Right?
faith in it. Yeah,
Who are, there are people who have the gift of healing in
there are.
their blessings, and so finding that person and talking with them and asking for a blessing. I think
And I
that's
will tell you that I'm with the two people that I reach out to, and I think it's critical that you have an individual that you can reach out to when you're in that place who will be patient enough to listen.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. But find a friend who's a true friend
Yeah,
that will be there for you when you're going through those moments. And I can say, Mike, and that's why the both of you are so critical to me in my life. You both keep me from isolating so much. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, Warren has saved my Fanny I don't know how many times.
oh, that's, thank you, Warren,
Welcome.
because I like her, so you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I
she's
love
pretty
you,
cool.
Mike.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love Warren. He has a wonderful wife. Her name is Niana, and
Yeah.
she's quite the healer.
Mm.
And she has that love and patience that is amazing.
When she's being nice, right? When she's mad at Warren, it's not happening.
When she's mad at Warren, Warren no likey.
It's
Yeah,
not a good place.
I'm not having a good day. Then I'm not, and I can get myself in trouble. I am self.
You
Oh,
get in
there,
trouble, Warren. What do you do to her?
say the
Oh,
wrong thing. Probably that's usually what
it's
I do.
sometimes saying that it's yeah, it's like any couple. Every couple has their thing, and
Yeah.
and they have to work through stuff,
Of
and
course.
the body changes. I'm a big smelly hairy man, and so I gotta take showers all the time so that I don't
All
smell
the
like a
time.
sass.
I don't.
So, yeah, so I don't smell like a Sasquatch.
They just
Yeah,
keep sneaking up on you. You got to take them.
right. I mean, I go
That's
4 days without. I'll be fine. But
Yeah,
when you're married, you don't
you're
have that
used to your
luxury.
own smell.
Right. It doesn't bother me.
right.
So I gotta. It's just like my kids. Like when they were boys, the little young boys. Like, man, you smell like a dog. You need to go in the shower, clean up. And no, I'm
Oh
kidding.
my goodness. I live with my son right now. And of course he's older now, and he's an adult, you know. He's 30 years old. But my goodness, like today I had to say, hey, Nate,
It's time to
you
take a
may
shower.
want to use the shower.
Hello.
I won't turn on the dishwasher, but you may want to use the shower.
Yeah. Let me get you some zest fully clean here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I have to, I don't want to offend them. So do you do this where you don't want to offend the person? So they gently tell you by, just quietly nudging you. Like, should I turn on the dishwasher? Are you going to be taking a shower?
So passive.
Right. No,
You know,
I'm just
because when
joking around.
guys get right, man, they get right.
Yeah, they can.
Boy,
I can. Yeah.
I don't know if you're. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, he doesn't. For now,
I
don't
don't.
tell him
Not at
his
all.
business,
No,
and don't label him either.
no. Right. Don't judge me.
Yeah, don't
They'll
judge him.
judge you.
That's right. You can't do that. No judgment zone.
But
Well,
Warren has been my lifeline. So what I guess I'm saying is, especially those who've had a near-death experience, because they struggle so much with that memory every day, because that's more home than this is,
mm-hmm.
and so it's harder to be present. It's
I can
hard to
see that.
describe, but it's that feeling of being in this world where that one was more real. And it's almost like this is a dream. And to be
I've heard that.
present in
Yeah.
this dream is really hard. It's a struggle. Like I said, a lot of near-death experiencers will go through severe depression for almost up to a year
Man.
after they'll shut down. They'll be in their homes
Well, once you don't know
for
how to
that almost
relate in the
entire
same
year.
way that you always have, that would be
Yeah.
a huge adjustment. So, I mean, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense to me. Plus, along with the changes that you're dealing with yourself. So, I mean,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and your partner sees a different person,
yeah, that'd be
or
hard.
your family sees a different. Because you have deeper connections with family members that you didn't before, and they're like, wait a minute, what's this about? Why
I
are you being nice?
don't know.
Oh, so
Stay out of
now
my
you want to be
business.
my friend? Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa, wait. I thought we were enemies, kind of like that collusion thing that's going on there, or that codependency thing.
Mm.
I don't
I
like that
kind of
word
like that.
codependent.
So the
Codependency was a
near-death
buzzword in the
experience breaks
90s.
that. What was that?
Codependency was a buzzword in the 90s. Do you remember that?
I know. What do
Do
they
you?
use now? They have now new buzzwords.
Interconnectedness.
Well,
Oh,
she's
is that what
positive,
it is?
right?
Oh, well, a little bit better. What happened to bipolar? Straight up bipolar.
Well, that one's still around, but people misrepresent bipolar with borderline personality disorder, and so
Yeah, that's a tough one. They're very
and
close.
so but borderlines are more of that mood swings versus bipolar, where bipolar is going to be up and manic for many days at a time, and
Yeah.
very very excitable, like, oh, I got to do the dishes, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to run 10 miles, and then I'm going to go over here. And then when you crash, it's, I hate my life, everything is horrible, nobody loves me. And you're in this really just horrible depression. And so that's more of the bipolar. Whereas the
Yeah.
borderline is the one that switches real fast. And it's like, oh, they're your friend 1 second, and then the next second they're not your friend. They say mean
They're going to
things.
kill you.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Wait a minute. Does that sound like a husband and wife relationship?
It could be. There's definitely
Could be.
marriages out there that are not great. That's for sure. But some people don't like their spouse. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a reality.
It does
I mean,
I like
happen.
mine.
yeah. Well, there you go,
So,
Mike. See,
which is
that's
good. I'm glad
that's a win.
because that is a win. I'm
Yeah,
I'm happy about that because
Yeah,
And I
it could
would
have gone a
suggest,
totally different way.
it could
speaking
have.
of which, with the near-death experience as well is, so Terry really struggled after my near-death. That's my ex-husband, because he kept saying, he had a nickname for me, "Where's my thumper?" And he would
Thumper.
say that all the time. Yeah.
Was
And
that was his word for you?
yeah, that was my nickname.
Your nickname? Huh?
Yeah,
Like
you know
Bambi's
that,
thumper.
Sharing that.
like, yeah, you know how you have that, like sweetie or boo
Yeah.
boo or honey boo boo, or
Yes.
don't you
A
guys do
thumper.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did. I had a joke, but it's something that only me and Diana have, but I can't share it publicly because it's
Oh,
offensive.
okay. That's okay.
I have those. I have those too. There's
But,
things I cannot say.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to say it
This is a
publicly.
dirty word. Don't want to hear it. Is that your
No,
nickname?
where it came from was something to kind of railroad my father in a way. So because it would
Oh,
be
I
something he
see.
used to say, and so
Oh,
and so
so we have those nicknames, and
yeah.
he realized that he couldn't call me that anymore because I was so different, and so he kept
Oh,
saying, "Where is she? Where is she?" And
you
in
weren't
fact, he did
thumper
it all the
anymore.
way. Yeah, he said that for many years. That when I came back, and so marriages are really difficult with near deathers. there's a 90% divorce rate amongst near-death experiencers.
Oh, wow.
90%.
It's large. It's a large number.
Well,
There's more.
what's his face didn't
What's
say
that?
that. Moody, that Dr. Moody guy.
Raymond Moody.
He never said
Yeah,
that in
Raymond
any of his
Moody.
videos.
Yeah, there was. So Pam Atwater's work is incredible. It's called Return from Omega, and it was written with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Dr. Kenneth Ring. There was a combination of people who came together, scientists who came together to study it.
Yeah.
And in fact, there is right now online with Facebook, they're doing, again, research with near-death experiences. So that in that particular work that was done with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and Dr. Kenneth Ring, they found that it was a 90% divorce rate amongst near-death experiences. And I can tell you from my own experience with those individuals that I've known that have had near-death experience, every single one of them that I have known has divorced. Myself as well. Because my first husband, just felt like he said, I don't know who this person is. This is not my thumper.
Yeah.
And so we had a totally different relationship after that. And he was really devastated.
Yeah.
But the person that I was also, codependent and struggled. And afterward, before the near-death experience.
Gotcha.
And I was very insecure. So it was very difficult for me to leave because we had a very, destructive relationship. It was very abusive. And yet I put up with it and stayed with it, where the person afterwards was completely different. I had more confidence, even though I was more scarred, and with sores and open burns.
Yeah.
I had more confidence to be able to go out amongst the public.
Wow.
I can't say that now, honestly, now that I'm older and I have these sores, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to go out in public. I worry that people will think I have some kind of illness that they're going to get.
I can see that. It seems, I just, I see it and I don't see any of that. I'm not saying because I've known you and I've been with you just right now, and so and you look great.
Well, you're blind. Really. Yeah, you can see real. My arm is.
Can't miss those. Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's actually starting to heal quite a bit, but there for a while
it was last time that I saw.
Right. There were more sores than there were skin.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
So
so I'm going through all of that, trying to relearn who I am again and being okay with myself, even though, I don't appear to be okay. Does that make any sense?
Sure.
I think so.
Like I have to go to the grocery store with sores on my face, and on my arms and have people stare. And it's difficult. I was grateful for my daughter. Like in Korea, it's normal for people to wear. Did you know this? That in Korea, they don't put sunscreen on. They actually have stockings they put over their faces. And they put gloves over their hands and their arms to keep their skin beautiful and out of the sun.
Huh.
they're very, very
I
vain.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they'll
Americans are
protect you.
too.
Yeah, but how many of us will go with an absolute mask on our face and gloves on our hands in public?
Yeah, maybe not.
You know,
Yeah, maybe
would you
not.
do that?
I don't think
And the
I
so.
men do as well. It's not just the women. The men, will have these long stockings, even though it's, middle of summer and humid. They'll
Mhm.
have these long stockings on their arms.
huh.
They're like gloves that cover even the top of their hands. I
Interesting.
don't know why, but they feel that sunscreen is just not enough.
Interesting.
Hmm.
They want to run that risk of getting even the smallest line on of sun on their body to look
I mean, I
aged.
have that problem in general because I stay indoors too much and I'm like transparent. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
yeah,
Oh, there. Now you can kind of see all the sores I'm dealing with right now.
yeah. It's not. I wouldn't. Yeah,
Did it
I don't. I
freeze
don't know
again?
what that would be like.
It's hard. It hurts. It's painful. But you know what? I have these great friends, and I have to reach out to my lifeline. Like that show, reaching out to your
That's
lifeline.
Yeah, you
the
want to be a
lifeline.
millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Would you like to reach out to
Yeah,
your
and
lifeline?
I'm so grateful to your wives for letting me call both of you when I need you. And
Oh.
I always
Because we
say
got your
hi to them
back.
and thank them.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh.
we got your back.
Warren, you've
Very good.
always been there, and I want to just publicly thank you for all those wonderful times that you have been there to listen to me whine and cry about my life.
Oh, sure.
It's wonder it's wonderful to see all the growth that's happened even with you. You've become such an incredible human being and a great counselor,
That's
wonderful counselor.
that's incredible.
I
Yeah.
like him.
Oh, thank
I do.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
I
love
I
him.
I haven't always been this cool though.
Well,
So,
you do have that
I
skin
happen to think
mohawk.
so.
yeah.
That skin mohawk is really doing you justice. I think that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's not necessarily a choice now. It's kind of
So
it's
we
one of
put
these
that choice on you.
it's
It's
that yeah, it's kind of one of these predetermined kind of things now.
But men have it easy, they get to have that bald head. There are men who shave their heads,
I
like
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you
I
know?
know. Yeah, I yeah. Plus, my head's lopsided too. It's horrible. I have to deal with it every day. It's crazy. It bothers me.
See
Does it
how
like
interesting is
It,
that?
it's this whole thing. I think yeah, it makes some people angry for some reason. I don't know why. I wish
you
I
get
knew.
angry people at you because of the shape of your
Oh
head?
yeah, sometimes I think that's what it's got to
Yeah,
be.
that's totally what it is.
I think I think being that social worker and you know, I had one dude. He asked me. He goes a couple weeks ago. He goes, "You're not going to snitch on me, are you?" I'm like, "Who am I going to snitch on to?"
It's like most
And I was
do I
like,
know any of your family?
"Do I know any of your friends or anything?" Like, I was like, "What am I going to talk some shit on you on Facebook or something?" Like,
Yeah, for real. Guess what this guy said to me?
like,
He's
dude, like
horrible.
what?
Tim. His name
Whatever,
is
man.
Tim.
Warren's living in the war zone, boy. How's that going?
What do you mean the war zone?
Right there in where the Floyd thing happened.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, they've rebuilt the area now. So, um, I still don't like
Love the
going down there.
destruction.
It's not necessarily a nice place in town, but um, it's yeah, it's something that they bring up at my job a lot. They have this diversity, inclusion, and equity, and so we have to
Mm.
sit in these meetings, and one of the thing is they bring up the George Floyd thing, and it definitely brings some interesting comments, but people don't really say anything. I think because they're afraid to say a
Yeah.
comment, and people over it then, right? People
Yeah.
get offended. If you you're different opinion, which is tough.
How do you deal with that? We live in a society. I know for myself, I'm afraid to say anything anymore. It didn't used to be that way. I felt
Yeah,
like I could speak my mind.
yeah. Now
But
it's
now it's like there's fear.
Yeah, and yeah, there's just
yeah,
certain things you can't say. I mean, and people forget. Just kind of a side note, people forget what happened, like after the fact, to your town, to your cities, and to all that area. I mean, it was. I could
Yeah,
imagine that
they
that
forget how
caused
many
pain
cities were
for
destroyed
everybody.
from one
yeah.
coast to the next.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, did cost it everywhere. But I mean, there was
Even
things burning.
Utah.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
remember when they came to St. George and they were in the grocery store planning it,
yeah,
and they were from your area, Warren.
I think part of it's knowing your audience,
yeah,
knowing what's appropriate to say, and when you can say certain things and push the boundary a little bit. Um, I definitely when going through college in the last few years. I definitely pushed the boundaries a bunch because I wasn't necessarily taking some of their Marxist ideology,
yeah.
and
They're
I wasn't,
fascists.
Good on you.
and their fascism,
Yeah,
and some of the teachers were definitely um, uninformed about certain
Good
things,
for you, Warren.
and so I stopped them a few times. I said, I want to stop you here for a second. You're some of it was some of the late '60s kind of propaganda, which life has changed since then. So some of that stuff wasn't even valid. I knew exactly where they were going with it. Like they were saying that the military the military only accepts the low lifes and the illiterates and kind of this lower class of people. And I said that's not true. There's not a draft. There wasn't. The military wasn't just making everybody go. You have to be educated now in order to get promoted. You can't get promoted without
yeah.
education. And so drill sergeants have a 4-year degree. The officers often,
I didn't know that.
And
yeah,
they offer a lot of it
yeah.
through
And the
the
drill
I know that
sergeants,
they
yeah.
offer, but I didn't know that the upper echelon, had
oh yeah,
education.
yeah, a lot of the upper officers. You think a dude that is a captain of an aircraft carrier is a slug? Come on, man. An aircraft carrier captain is probably one of the smartest kind of people in the whole world. Like to run that ship with 5,000 people and a nuclear reactor, missile codes, all of the things that
Well,
guy's got or gal's got to know. That's one of the best human beings on the freaking planet. Is what I'm telling you.
That's what you want them to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and to sit there and say,
wow.
"Oh well, they're just a bunch of high school dropouts," and so I stopped her. That was one. Um, yeah, there was a few times I stopped them because I just couldn't take it. I was just like, "You guys are just so freaking."
some
I
people, man.
I regret. I should have said. There was one time I should have said something. I just held my peace. Is they were going on and on about climate change and how this was happening and this phenomenon, and while there may be some evidence to that, I was gonna say to this lady, to the teacher, uh, is that being Mormon, right? Joseph Smith since 1820 has been saying the climate's going to change because that's a sign of Jesus's return.
Yeah,
And I said, so you're not going to
Right.
get the wool pulled over my eyes and be like, oh, we need to do carbon credits because the global warming is affecting everything. No, these are signs that the Lord is coming, and
yeah.
it's a sign, it's a warning. So
Those
there's
those
not,
waves are going to crash beyond their
yeah.
intent. Yeah, It's gonna happen.
taxing people isn't going to fix it,
Mm-mm.
And I get it that,
Yeah.
people they've taken God out of the equation, so a lot of the college was like that. And
Yeah.
so it's difficult when you like Renell, we've talked about this, is when you know things, it's hard to be around others who don't know the same thing. And
Isn't that the truth? And learn the patience.
yeah, you have to be patient because they just
they think they know it.
Right. Noah was building the ark for like 100 years, and he
I
was
didn't know that.
Yeah, according to the Apocrypha, that's what it says. But it was probably either 40 years or 100.
And he at least was warning for that long, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, hey,
No.
Some water's coming, guys. And then when it started to get
rain,
a foot, and then 2 feet, and then 3 feet, and then how long can you travel?
You know that the Sphinx actually shows sign of a heavy rain that was so great that covered the Sphinx. And if you know where Cairo is and you know where the Sphinx is, I mean, that's out in the desert.
Oh, the Sphinx.
How did so much?
Sphinx.
Yeah, the Sphinx.
I thought you said sinks.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what bathroom are we talking about?
Some porcelain? They had porcelain in those days?
I don't know what you're
not
talking
the
about.
sink in the kitchen.
Okay.
Kitchen? They had stainless steel in those days, 440 or what? I'm curious to know now. I don't know.
They must have, Warren. They had plumbing, okay?
They had plumbing.
They
right?
made it happen
Plumbers.
in that desert, in that sand.
Yeah. Right? We had.
Yeah, actually, there is a sink around the Sphinx.
It's a big
but literally, the water came down. This water came down with such great force for a good long time, enough that it kept creating deep crevices on the Sphinx, the base of the Sphinx, and the walls.
Oh yeah.
So it's fascinating, and science has now proven that this great cataclysmic event happened. Where water covered the earth.
Yes. Yeah, and there's.
So it is absolutely proven that it's happened.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
People get that look.
Try to explain it away, but yeah.
It's funny when you give people the look of like, hey, in other 4 parts of the world, and the Asians, the Hopi Indians, they all record a great flood had happened in the old days. And so how do you explain that? And the biblical says there was a great flood too. So, and people have that look like
they sent it over the intranets.
They're like,
they talk to each other.
They're like, I does not compute. You can see that it doesn't compute.
Wait a minute. Does that fit in with inclusion?
It can. It's what did they? My brother just sent me something about that. He sends me all this.
Equity and inclusion.
My brother's just a right-wing hate fanatic, so I have to tone him down a little bit.
You got to tone him. Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey man, like, just
he's in the militias.
Yeah, I said, hey man, nobody cares, okay? And it finally came out that he's retired from the military and he doesn't have a job right now, so he doesn't have anybody to talk to, so he talks to me through text message.
That's nice.
And yeah, I get like 50 text messages, and I'm like, look, dude, like,
that's a lot of text messages.
You can't be doing this, bro. Like
I got like a 10 text limit.
Not mentally healthy.
In a day.
Yeah, like, dude, like, yeah, get some friends or something. Like,
he says on live YouTube to his brother.
Yeah, like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, but bother. I'm looking for this message.
No, you guys sound like brothers. You sound like family.
let's do some questions while he's looking for that because I'm curious on
Yeah,
what
there
his
it
brother
is.
said.
Okay,
Here
let's
it is.
do it.
That's
Oh,
remember that?
Oh,
oh, the Indian, the crying one.
No, it's the NPC. That's the picture for the NPCs, right? For
Where?
like liberals, right?
Oh, okay.
oh,
I that
liberals,
went
that's
over my
right.
head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah, I had to think a moment. That's right. They do that.
They
Like the knotheads.
Mm-hmm.
and remember when people got so mad about that?
Yeah, I
Like they
remember.
got so mad. It's like, dude, it's a joke. It's just a joke. You know,
Yeah,
just
I
relax.
know. Where does humor go? Laugh a little.
You
Yeah.
know?
You know, that's the other thing that I learned in my near-death experience is how people on the other side are happy. They laugh, they smile all the time. You know,
Do
it's
they
That's
like
right.
dance and skip?
it's such a shock.
Do they dance? They hopscotch a little bit or what?
Yeah, I'm in, man.
No,
Is
I'm
they
there
doing
fly.
is there
double dutch
grab
going
They're
on.
busy.
is there gravity there? Is it a cool setting to do
No, you're moving around so quickly. You move by thought. And so people move around very quick. It's like, boom,
That brings
it's
me
in a
to
flash.
let's ask some of these questions because they got them.
Yeah,
They
I think
put them out there.
Manny's like
Yes.
crashed our party here.
Hello, audience.
Yeah, we've got like a bunch of people. Yeah, Warren, you can stay. I like you here, so I would
Okay.
like you to, but if you got to go to
Yeah.
sleep,
I like you
I
here
get it.
too.
You're
Yeah,
an
it's
hour
already
ahead of
11
us.
o'clock here, and so I probably got to get running because I got to get up early tomorrow for work.
Yeah, I feel
Got to
you.
go to that job, you know.
That job.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
I'm just so proud of
So
you, Warren, and
Well, thank you.
you've changed so much.
Yeah.
I
Do
love
you,
the work that you're doing.
do you have that $300 you owe me?
hey, she owes me a pillow.
A pillow?
Thanks,
Oh,
Warren.
there you It
Hey,
was funny.
speaking of
There's
which,
just
that's what I'm using. See?
that, just that silence. Like, do I owe him $300?
Oh no.
Yeah, I did
Let's get
that.
on Venmo.
Yeah. Don't you
So
have my
let's
Venmo?
get the. Oh, okay. I'll be sure to open up the account.
There you go. Well, cool. I
Well,
gotta
look
run,
for.
but
Okay. It was
But,
great to meet you, Warren.
it's nice to meet you as well, Mike. It's nice to chat.
Yeah,
And I'll try to reach you guys again
we'd like that.
another night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
there's any questions that anyone has for Warren, we'll make sure that we put his name below and you can reach him on Facebook, correct?
Sort of, yeah.
If they have any
It's
questions.
possible.
Maybe.
Or you
yeah,
could throw them in our comments and we
yeah,
can
throw it
relay
through.
them.
Yeah, either through Mike or Renell, and
Yes.
That'd be
And I can-
easiest to probably.
if they
Okay.
have a specific
sounds
question for me. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Well,
All
Warren,
right.
well,
Thank
great.
you
Thank
so
you.
much, Warren.
All right. Thanks a lot. I'll
Thank
see
you
you
for
soon. Okay.
thank you for always being there for me. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot. All right. see ya.
Bye.
Bye now.
So we have some questions, Renell, and it's just me and you, and
Okay.
all of our people that are with us. So,
Awesome.
so can we asked the Toronto? Okay, you're right. We asked that. So you mentioned before in a previous video that you would explain if the souls in the pre-existence know if they would become evil in their earth life, or if they would something along those
No,
lines.
and here's the thing is that evil is a choice. I mean, we all have that within us to be evil, right?
Definitely do. Yeah.
And so there's no real plan of being evil, though once it happens, it becomes a part of the plan.
So
Does that make any sense?
I mean, does it become a part of, I mean, for instance, before we came here, we had the ability to see more, right? Or at least understand God saw it all.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So think about when you were a kindergartner. Do you
yeah,
remember being a kindergartner? The whole world was wonderful, right? Everybody
yeah,
was your friend. Life was innocent. There was no evil. There was no unkindness, really.
in some cases.
You know.
But yeah, no, I see
Yeah,
what you're
but
saying, the innocence of it.
right. And so you come to this world innocent. It's the world that allows you to make these choices of where you want to stand. Your assignments are always there. It's just, are you going to do the assignments in an evil form or a light form? And it's really up to you.
Well, how much do you know beforehand? Is the real question. Because I
What do
have
you
my
mean? How much?
so like
Yes,
before we come here, like we would look at our, there's certain parts of it I'm sure were shown, if not all. I don't
yes.
know. I don't know how that works.
Well, that's what you call deja vu,
Mm-hmm.
where you have that moment where you go, wait, I've done this before. And you go, oh, I remember doing this at some point. And how did I remember doing this before it happened? Because
Yeah,
it was, you know, something that you knew and know.
but would that be the only time that you would have known prior or done prior, and then because we forget everything, yes, so we become innocent and then we make choices, right? But is there any foresight that we have before we came, at least, to be able to have the choice, proper choice, to come down here, right? To
Right.
see some of the things that we're going to experience, and you know, God knows what we were going to do.
And it's
So
interesting because prior, to coming here where we had that choice of going to Satan or God, believe it or not, there are those that chose to go to Satan that are still given that opportunity to rise up and become, a part of this wonderful thing that you and I are experiencing called life.
yeah,
Is it easy? No. Is it almost sometimes overbearing? Yeah. But the beauty is, I have it for me and I'm happy.
yeah, I would agree on that. So,
So I'm sorry, I just had a vision. I don't know why I had that vision.
I don't know what the vision was,
Wow, that was strange.
but I'm sure it was pretty amazing or
Um,
horrible.
it was just interesting. Yeah, it was a little boy who was searching for meaning and who he is, and was in the playground, trying to decide that. And he was walking on a path back to his house, and he almost gets kidnapped. And all of a sudden, it came to me here, it was so real just a second ago.
Well, I saw your eyes roll a little bit, and
Yeah, I
I know that
know.
look.
That's when I'm gone.
Yeah,
When my
it's
eyes
like
roll back.
I'm seeing something here, guys. There's something happening, and I'm
Yeah,
looking past
sorry.
you. No, it's okay. I'm not. I'm used to it a bit, so it's all good.
It's really, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I do that. People tell me that my eyes roll back into my head, but it's
Just a
when I
little.
kind of go into a deep
Yeah.
place real fast, like a deep flash.
So yeah,
I don't know why it happens. It just does. It's like all of a
well,
sudden
what
I'm in a
purpose is there
different
to know
place.
about this little boy?
Yeah, it
Maybe
was
there
so.
is, but you know, timing.
Usually I find out that I end up meeting that boy as an adult,
Ah,
you know,
that
and
makes
I'll
sense.
run into that person. It might be someone in the audience
Or yeah,
who's
or
listening right now.
maybe you're even thinking about me when I was a kid. I almost got kidnapped twice.
Really?
Like straight up, I was
Wow.
put in a car once, and my aunt had to come over and run and drive a car in front of the other car and
Oh,
stop them and get me out of the car. That's how close it was.
whoa. You
So
are every
how
parent's
different my
nightmare.
life, yeah, how different my life would have been. So, yeah, thank you,
It would
Aunt
have been
Christy.
sad because I love your parents. They're wonderful.
They are. I like them too. I love them, I should say. So, let's get down to the next one.
I do
So,
too.
please tell us more about life in other planets, Renelle. And they're
Oh
dying to
my
know,
gosh,
Jen.
it's so wonderful. So they have their own little societies. They have their own little they're so much like us. It's amazing. So, just imagine looking a little bit different, adapt for the adaptation of that planet, you know. Like one planet in particular I remember visiting, the planet from the surface looked like it was barren, and the wind blew so hard the sand across, these crevices on this planet. But underneath the crevices, deep within the crevices, was an inner planet.
Ooh,
And it was beautiful and green and gorgeous. And they had their own little society that was very cooperative with one another because they
that's
really depended on each other. When those winds would pick up really to a point that the upper sand would reach inside to the inner earth and would threaten, people's homes and lives.
that
So
is.
that was interesting.
What kind of adaptation on their bodies did they have? I mean,
Um,
curiously, you know.
Nose,
Okay,
the
heavier
nose,
maybe.
yeah, just longer. There was a tube like thing on the end of the nose
Oh, cool.
that had
Like the
the
ood.
nose was longer. That was
Was
tube like.
were there danglies?
Yeah, dangling tube like noses.
It's kind of cool.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
And
it's tubular.
so
Get what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm hilarious for now.
so and then on another planet it was very hot, and so most of the people that were there didn't have hair, which I thought
Mm.
was interesting. And um, so that was women and men, who had these extremely bald heads, and webbed fingers.
Well, what are the web fingers going to help them with?
The gases in the air to move,
Oh,
to walk and move,
oh, cool. Okay, I
because
can
the
imagine that in
density
my
of
head.
it's the density of the planet.
Mm,
So having web finger and towing help move along in the planet, move along and around.
that's
Does
that's
that make
interesting.
sense? It helps
Those are
with
stories
movement.
I hadn't heard yet. That's awesome.
Yeah, I learned a lot about how we have on this planet more agency than other planets, um, which makes us so different than any other planet out there.
And when you say more agency, do you mean the difference between the light and the dark is so much more uh,
Um,
stark?
it's that ability to get to be as dark as you
Okay.
want to be.
Oh,
So it's that choice, you know.
yeah. Okay.
So anyway, it was what was so fascinating was going to Mars and realizing that at one time there was a really wonderful planet of people who, um, you know, were so much like us, and so huge. You know what I mean? In that, how do I describe this? That planet was destroyed by war, and everybody disappeared by war. slowly died off
Well, I will say
because they,
they have found that there was some type of nuclear explosion in the atmosphere.
yes,
Yeah,
and
but they,
it was
and I
their
don't
own
know.
weapon.
I mean, that could be weapon, and if you've seen it, I believe it.
Yeah, not
But
only that, that there were rockets that left that planet right prior to that happening, hoping to get to Earth to help population growth.
I see. And did it
So
work?
anyway, so that was neat.
We go too deep into
The
these things,
moon
these
was
questions.
the moon was gray. The sand was gray. That was interesting. Very
On
bouncy
Mars?
light. No, moon. The
Oh,
moon was
okay.
very, on one side, very rocky and hilly. Like there were lots of crevices and rocks. Um, One day we're going to learn something about the moon that will shock us.
Do you know this? What the thing
Yeah,
about the moon that's going to shock us? Okay, now I don't know
yeah.
if you like are sworn to secrecy on this, or if you just don't want people to think you're crazy. Uh,
No, neither. What I learned long ago is how much can an individual handle,
ah,
and loving them right where they're at and what they can handle.
that makes sense. And we're putting it out there publicly, so yeah,
Right. So, at what point are you giving a steak to a baby?
yeah, that makes sense.
So now
So
I'm a little more careful about what I say, and more reserved, unless there's now a special reason for it.
yeah,
Anyway, I'll take the time to sit and talk to somebody who comes and spends time with me, and um, they're prompted to ask me questions about, like Pluto. Pluto is a very fascinating place for me because of the life that was on that planet. Um, so it's fascinating when somebody else has the same fascination. Will ask questions
yeah. I
about, well, what was it like there?
I will say, I I've sat down with you many
There's
times,
one
and I just
planet.
ask question after question.
There's one planet where the people look exactly like us, and more intelligent than us, but very tiny, like miniature people. They were up to my knees.
Ooh, like little leprechauns.
Uh-huh. Yep, they were what we would determine. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm
leprechauns.
sure they're not. Yeah, yeah. So okay,
But
well,
they're small people, very small, very tiny people.
and I could imagine
So
that
what's the next
the next
question?
question is, Renelle. I think you've answered this one before, but I want to ask it again.
Okay,
What types of food did you eat on the other side, and what types of food do we get to eat in the spirit world?
you don't. That's always been hard on me.
You don't get to eat anything over there.
Yeah, you do. Oh yeah, you do. It's different. So you do eat, but it's an energy that you eat, not the actual food.
Okay.
So it's light energy. So you're preparing, like, let's say
Can
you're
you
gardening
taste anything?
vegetables at first. Yes, more intensely than you do in this planet,
Ah,
in this life. It's more intense.
it's like energy paste.
Yeah.
And
So
from a tube, but you can't squeeze it. It's just energy. We lose you right
oh,
now.
you're funny.
I know. I am.
No, I was just thinking about.
I'm
I
always
was
making my
thinking about
jokes.
those. I was thinking about those crystal kitchens and food preparation there.
Interesting.
Um,
What
yeah,
does that look like?
they're food did not, like, let's say lettuce. The
Lettuce.
most unique thing about Earth is that we have green
Okay.
on this planet. Um, you know, for a green is and browns are rare and unique amongst many of the planets.
And that's our big two, brown and green and blue.
We're going to meet them sooner than you'll know. You'll
Interesting.
be shocked.
I'm excited.
They're walking amongst us right now.
Moon people?
No, not moon.
Mars people? Pluto people? Okay. Sorry. I'm digging. I'm sorry. I'll pull myself back out. Here we go.
I'll
There we
say
go.
Pluto. They look so much like us, but their food is made out of energy and light. It's not made out of food.
That's
Like we
interesting.
have roots and green and brown. They don't have that.
Mm.
There's no green and brown.
Well,
Does that make any sense?
yeah,
So
it's
they're on
interesting.
a different color spectrum.
Okay.
So what's
So
the next question? Because I'm
next,
thinking about, how we come to be at some point. The only way that we come to be where we meet them is when we die.
okay,
And then we have that opportunity to meet them.
okay, and then
But you have to be willing on the other side to be accepting. Otherwise, you'll never get to see what you're not. It's not just willing, it's about.
it makes sense because
Um,
you end up connecting in a two-way type thing, right? Like it's a
right,
connection. When you connect, you're not really, you can't hide anything, correct?
right,
Not really.
exactly.
So I mean, if
That's
you're not
exactly
accepting or you're in a place where you can't, yeah, that they can't let you into this, their special group.
right.
So we got a lot of questions. So we won't be able to do all of
Okay.
them, but we're going to do a few. Um, so Manny says, I heard so-called planets in our solar system are just dead rocks, and that most of the universe is full of stars, moons, and energy stuff. And so, in other
Oh boy.
words, we just answered kind of that a little bit as far as
I
like,
hope. I hope. Yeah.
yeah, we already pre-answered
Oh,
some
the
of it.
other thing is, so on other planets, I will say this: they have one religion, where we have so many different religions, and we have so many different colors. Like, the best way to describe it is, um, so it's a color palette. God sees all these beautiful paintings on the wall. We are his paintings.
Hmm.
So every color of shades of human beings that we are a more enriched painting than, say, other planets.
Interesting. And so, I mean, and if you think about it, there was a long period of time where there was one language and one people. Like they
Whoops,
ultimately
sorry,
had to
my
come
phone fell.
together. Oh, that's okay. Uh,
Yeah,
with the
there's a
tower,
oneness.
yeah, and so with the Tower of Babel that happened, and the split, and all this other. So I mean, there's lots of stuff in the Bible that goes over that, but ultimately,
Yeah,
it's like, I could see, like that was almost a punishment or a way to break us up, like and whatnot back
really.
then. Like it was a punishment essentially, for our world specifically. So I could see others being as one people. That makes sense
Yeah,
to
they
me.
are.
If they
We
have one
are.
language, especially.
We are the most colorful planet. We truly are the most colorful planet.
Uh, you look at who our president is likely going to, who would, what, between these two people of presidents, you know, that's,
Yeah,
things are getting
that's
weird,
her
man.
color.
Things are getting weird. So,
Ah, tell me about it.
yeah. Okay, and then let's get a few more. Sorry, I'm just trying to find some.
No, that's okay. Pick one. Go eeny, meeny, by the tell the fanny pee.
Yeah, getting there. Yeah, I'm reading, so it takes a second. A lot of knowledge.
So what does
Some of it's.
someone else
Oh,
have to say?
does the soul know it will? Does the soul know if it will harm others in the pre-existence in the life plan?
Do they know that there's an opportunity, that there's a chance? Yes.
So they at least see the chance, but it's not something that they are shown prior. Exactly. Like,
Right. Our personalities are basically the same.
yeah, that makes sense. I see God as seeing all of it, knowing what's going to happen, and how much can He
Yeah.
clue us in on those things before we would forget. To inform our choice.
Yeah,
Those
we're
are
going to
thoughts I
see.
have.
Something just ran by me. I'm having one of those nights. We're going to see a massive disruption in this campaign before the election. I mean, massive
I could see
disruption.
everyone turning on Biden. They're already doing it.
No, it's going to affect Trump as well.
Oh,
Yeah, they're going to
good
do all.
times. So, does which no, they're gonna. Okay, I'll leave that one. Spirit knows. Okay, are the bodies of humans on other planets more advanced than ours, and
Wow.
last longer, or less disease,
Yes.
things like that? What kind of?
Yes. Yes. And
You
yes.
said yes, and I. Okay, so yes to everything.
Yes. They live longer. They don't have the diseases that we have. They don't. Their bodies are pure and clean.
Okay. Oh, and Jen says that she's heard people say that they eat fruit made out of light on the other side.
Well, it looks a lot like fruit.
It's more light. Okay, I think we're losing you.
No, I'm just thinking about the presidential and the things that are going to come about our planet.
Something is pulling you.
Yeah, we're going to have more discoveries about what our plants can produce. And so there's going to be a conservation effort to save trees because we've never really looked at trees for medicine. I mean, aspens, yes, for aspirin, and other particular products, but we haven't gone into it as depth as we needed to.
Yeah. Well, you get competition in the open market that just will shut things down like crazy. So you don't get information. So let's do one last question here.
Sure. China's going to have a major disrupt with its borders with North and South Korea. I just saw that.
That's interesting
Major.
because of the way that Russia making deals with North Korea and like a defense pact. But China,
I know, and yet
China is actually North Korea's like big brother. I don't know if they like it all the time, but it's kind of how it is. So
yeah, it is.
That's interesting. That's like geopolitical craziness right there, Renelle.
I agree.
I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm saying that's insane. Is there another word I can use? Like that's just surprising.
Interesting.
I'll take that.
Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
You have two races, the youngest and leading. Yeah.
There's something in the air tonight. It's catching my mind. And so here's another thing that happens with near-death experiencers.
Okay.
and people that have, on the autism spectrum, have high intelligence because they can see like that part of the brain is utilized more than the normal person because they're compensating. What's the one that Asperger's?
I'll ask that, Jen, for sure.
So near-death experiences are very similar to somebody with Asperger's. They're
Okay.
able to see across the veil at birth and
Huh.
hold on to it longer and the memory longer. And they harness creativity and the world that they're in touch with, that black side.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Like, if you have the mind of a child, or if you have that kind of memory as you go into your childhood years, and you have imagination at that age too, like more, and so you could believe
Right.
it, and so you'd be definitely have more creative and thought provoking. There's one last question I want to ask, and I appreciate everybody for their comments too. It's been a lot of
Thank
discussion,
you very much. Don't
and
forget to like and subscribe
yeah,
and have
for
friends
real.
come
I
here,
wish I
please.
could have responded to everything, but we appreciate you guys coming in and talking. The last question is, so what about these crystal kitchens, dog? Like, tell us more about these crystal kitchens, because Jen is dying to know.
Oh,
That's what
Jen is
I'm thinking.
dying to know.
She needs to
Um,
know
yeah,
about
I,
these
I
kitchens.
sat there looking at it, and that's when so like I said with Asperger's, you see glimpses of the world all around you. It's like not just a single thought.
It's
It's
360.
multidimensional thought. Yes. So that does come back with you. When you're on the other side, you see that way. You can see everything around you. There's
And you
all
can
knowing around
still
you.
see it that way
Yes.
all the time, or just
You carry
glimpses?
sometimes, I mean, there are times I have to really focus because otherwise my family think I'm crazy. My eyes roll back in my head and I'm gone for a moment, and I'm seeing so much or I'm
Well,
connecting. When I go into a stare, I connect to see that huge, it's like a dome around you. Actually, it's like a globe around you. And you're
huh.
seeing so many different pictures.
Just around your head,
Um,
half. I mean, like sight,
um,
like one
it's hard
big
to say sight.
three.
It's like almost the length of your hand all the way around you. And I'm seeing like the future and different events and different um,
Are they possibilities or locked? We need to
some
go back to Crystal
are,
Kitchens, but
that's
yeah.
a good question. Some are predestined. So anyway,
So these Crystal Kitchens you saw, what kind of crystal are we talking? Were they crystal
crystal,
knives too? I
white,
mean, like,
yeah, just everything was crystal. Everything was crystal.
okay, why?
Everything was used by a clear quartz crystal
Why?
because that's all they have. They don't
Interesting.
mine for metals because they don't have on their planet. Some planets are more liquid,
Mm-hmm.
but on the other side, kitchens floors are so beautiful. They're made out of gold and crystal and light.
And you're
There's
talking
so
about the
many
other side, or specifically other.
on the other side. So
So these.
I'm referencing both kitchens,
Okay.
um, on another planet versus ours versus the other side. The other
Okay.
side, we continue to eat and cook. If you're a cook, we still do that on the other side.
So is it like an energy food then?
Yes, it's made
Okay.
out of light, but your mouth can actually taste it. So
So do you like
those new
change
drinks.
it? Like you add different flavors of light that you can.
Yeah, those new drinks now that where the sense of smell at the mouthpiece actually makes you believe you're tasting different flavors.
I've never heard of that. I want to
You
now.
haven't heard of that?
No.
We're going to have to
So I'm learning
sponsor
about
that because
crystal
it's really
kitchens,
cool.
about energy light, and about some weird device that makes you smell
So yeah,
tasty.
it uses your sense of smell to
Yeah.
taste. Well, when you're on the other side, the kitchens uses all of our senses. So it's
You can
more
hear your
about the
food?
utilization. Pardon?
You can hear your food?
Yes, because remember, everything is living and it's
Yeah,
singing praises to God.
that's a good point. You've said that, and I've heard that, so that makes sense to me.
So your food actually does sing to you.
Man, well,
It will sing songs to you.
and I'm sure, can you put it in different shapes and make it look like something, or
Yes,
is that just like?
varied upon, which is so fascinating to me.
Well, that's why I'm
It
asking
is
all these
not like,
questions,
let's
because
say we had a hamburger bun, right?
uh huh,
Here it's what, tan? Tan
10.
color?
Oh,
Could
tan,
be,
tan,
that
yes, tan. Mm-hmm.
tan orange crusty.
Yeah.
Um, there, it could be a purplish blue,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
But they too are, uh, they're designing their food choices by yours as well. Like they'll have, like sometimes they'll have meals with you.
Well, that makes sense because they're round, and if you're looking at it, they were part of this world, at least those that have passed on.
Absolutely,
So I mean,
absolutely.
their memories, and they would want to experience it in some degree, I would imagine. And then eating with your family could be part of that. I mean, that makes sense to me. That I could really see that being something that I
Yeah,
would
it's
do.
since the beginning of time, with mankind and the garden, gathering food and eating was a very sacred experience. And so it's an almost ceremonial experience.
Hmm.
And they still do it to this day on the other side.
Well, that makes sense. And are there fruit trees on the other side?
Yes,
And so they
fruit
grow.
and apple and all kinds of.
Okay. So then they gather the
Does that
food and they
make
put it
sense?
together. Yeah, that makes sense. Um,
When the
okay, everybody.
millennium, when that 1,000 years comes,
Yeah.
and we can think in that great harmony so well, and so much love exists, um, we'll be able to overcome this, uh, you know, um, dying process. We'll actually live 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Then the heavens will unite with us in
Yeah.
harmony, and we'll
And then I'll
have
be
this.
singing songs like, it will be great. I think I'd be sitting on my front porch
Yeah,
singing
one of the
songs,
things.
praising God.
Yeah, actually, there are more temples on the other side than here. Like, so the temple work's always being done,
Interesting.
always.
That is
So
interesting. I would like to
that's basically it.
dig in
Is
more
that
there, but I think we're done.
Yeah? I want to save that last picture I had for next time. I
Okay.
just saw something
Yep.
about
And
the future.
putting something out there. You know, we just want to eat it up, and you're like, I don't know. I don't want to tell you right now.
No, yeah, let's save it for next time. So
Okay.
subscribe and like.
Yes.
Make sure
Join
that you
us.
bring. Yes, share with
Yeah,
family.
please. That would be very helpful to share. Not just, we love to like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. But the
But
sharing is
here's
really
the
the stage
deal,
we're in right now.
right? Share, please, because what it does is it helps people who are, losing a loved one,
Yeah.
whether it's terminal. In fact, right before I came on, um, one of my friends on Facebook is going through the dying process, and he's in the hospice stage of the last moments. Um, though he looks, to me, looks healthy, but when he takes his shirt off, you can see how unhealthy he was.
Was he taking his shirt off on Facebook? These are the kind of questions I think about.
What do you mean?
I mean, you said one of your friends on Facebook taking the shirt off when you see it. I don't take my shirt off on Facebook.
Oh, yes. Well, I have seen some things.
I've seen something. We'll leave it there because I don't know
Yes.
what I don't know. I want to know what you've seen, Renell. That's
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a lot of friends, and I love them all. And
good.
so, like I said, if you found your way here through my Facebook, I love you. You are a
Hmm.
friend to me. You always will be a friend. So we will see you on the other side
We will see you on the other side. Goodbye, y'all.
next week.
Next week, yes.